Gainsayers is the contradictors. That's what the word gainsayer means. By sound doctrine, both to exhort and convince the contradictors. How can you convince the contradictors? These are people who contradict themselves. You know, they say one thing and then they say something else thinking it's the same thing, but they're really contradicting themselves. By this sound doctrine, by this right teaching, both to exhort and convince the contradictors. For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the legalistic gang, the circumcision boys. Today you'd have the same thing on water baptism, communion, and earrings, and beards, and shoes, and undies. That's right. They're unruly, they're vain talkers, they're deceivers, because they're all legalistic. And they contradict themselves. One time they talk about grace and the next time about works. And the works are totally ungracious. So it's just contradiction. Whose mouth must be stopped. Who subvert. The word subvert means who overthrow whole households. Not houses. It wouldn't do you any good to go over to our house and toss that thing over. No. These overthrow households, cause the problem in the household, disrupt the household, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy gain, lucre's sake. Gain. Just dawned in my mind. That's what I was trying to think of a while ago and couldn't remember. Talking here about the Cretans. One of themselves, even a prophet of their own, said, the Cretans are always liars. Huh? Evil beasts, the word evil is wild beasts. Slow bellies, the words are idle persons. Slow belly. It's an old English phrase. If you're a slow belly, you're a lazy bird. Idle person. The Cretans are always liars, wild beasts, like wild beasts, idle persons. Verse 13. This witness, this testimony is true. Right. He says, well, they've always been liars, wild beasts, idle persons. Wherefore you tell them to quit being idle. You tell them to go to work. You tell them quit lying. You tell them not be such wild birds, beasts. Rebuke them sharply that they may be sound in the family faith. Sound in the family. Not giving heed, pay no attention to those Jewish fables and commandments of men that are these legalistic things that turn from the truth. Unto the pure all things are what? But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, even their understanding and conscience is defiled. Mind is their understanding. See, I understand what they're after here is because when he talks about the Jews and so forth in here, he's talking about the legalism, the Jewish fables that they were arguing about meat served to idols and all the rest of this stuff. And hear what he is saying, under the pure all things are pure. Depends on how you've renewed your mind. If you think that wearing a bracelet is impure, that's what you think in your mind, then to you it will be what? Impure. But if I think it's nice, then to my mind it's what? I'm going. This first Sunday night I've worn it, be the last Sunday night I wear it. You know, it dangles too much. I love it. I love the people who gave it to me especially. First time anybody's ever given me a bracelet. Thankful they didn't give me a noose. So, it's nice. Since you gave it to me, I can give it away if it's a gift. Right? You sure, huh? You're wonderful. Did you ever read Corinthians? Thinketh no evil. Unto the pure all things are pure. Thinketh no what? That'd make pretty good twig leader, wouldn't it? Wouldn't think any evil of any of his leaves on that beautiful twig. Thinketh no evil. To him, the pure is pure, you know. Thinketh no evil. But, you know, to the guy that has a dirty head inside, he thinks everybody else is dirty too, you know. Boys, always comes back to that old statement of mine, you point one finger at somebody else, you point three back at yourself. You know why people are usually so loath in criticizing others? Because if you look at their life, they're the ones that really got that stuff wrong with them. They pick on everybody else and they got all kind of criticism because their mind is so impure. It's just as easy to think good thoughts as it is evil. It is just as easy to think well of a person as to think badly. And if you ever want people to rise up, you've got to think good and not evil. Even if they blow it, you've got to think good and keep thinking good of them. It's the only way they're ever going to dig themselves out. You know that old statement, I don't know if you kids heard it, but used to be around. Give a dog a bad name and he'll have to live up to it. Give him a good one, he'll have to live up to it. People are like that. See, if nobody believes in you and they tell you you're no good, you never amount to a damn, and all the rest of the stuff, you know what you're going to carry out? You're going to prove that very point. Because they've just told you who you are. And if that's what you believe, you're just going to go less and less. That's why to believe in people, to have confidence in them, to grow and to develop, that gives them a good name to shoot at, something big. People think that I just flip this stuff off the top of my IBM. I don't. When I say to you, God bless, I love you, you're the best. I mean it, baby. Now you may be lousy tonight, but you're still the best even if you're lousy. Well, that's the best you can be in the lousy situation anyways. But I believe God's best for God's people. And I just don't flip this off of my lid. I believe the potential is there. I believe you have to become that best when you walk according to God's Word. Well, that's all in under the pure, all things are what? Pure. Right. Verse 16, those negative side, they profess that they know God, but by works they deny him, being abominable, disobedient unto every good work. They're rats. Reprobates. Reprobates. Reprobate is one devoid of accurate judgment. That's a reprobate. He couldn't make a right judgment if he had to. So if these men sit in courts of law, you know they couldn't do a good trip, could they? Well, really well to go to chapter 2. It starts with, but speak thou the things which become sound doctrine. But we're not going there tonight. Isn't that a beautiful chapter? Oh my, it's just fantastically beautiful. So why don't you work it this week a little bit and go over it again and again in your mind and just start to build the greatness of that chapter in your heart and life. And it's going to make us a lot better twig coordinators and leaders. And I think as our people begin to see this, then they begin to see why I make statements like that the core is designed primarily only to build twig leaders. That's what the core is all about. To build twig leaders. It's not to build a limb leader or branch leader or a roller skating guy. It's to build a twig leader.